Hi guys. Today I'm obviously working on a new track, but I'm going to talk about uh, finding something to aspire to. You know what? Well, first of all, what's the pinnacle of this thing that we call the music business? This thing that we are doing. I mean, odds are, if you're watching this video, you're in a home studio or would like to be in a home studio or just starting out. But what's the pinnacle? I mean, if you're making house music or, something kind of like this, but the complete overview of uh, the music business, what are we talking about? Well, during my lifetime, there have been landmark, epic albums that have come out that have been the soundtrack to my life. And a lot of them are on this album chart. I mean, here we go. This is United States sales, top selling albums of all time in the United States. Okay. Michael Jackson, Thriller. Loved the Jackson 5. In fact, I loved the Jackson 5 before I loved any other artist. Got Led Zeppelin 4 right here. Stairway to Heaven, Black Dog, When the Levee Breaks. I mean, that's epic. Legendary album. AC/DC Back in Black. Probably listened to that album 500 times. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, probably listened to that 500 times too, but not by choice because it had so much airplay. Uh, there's Shania Twain there. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Listen to that probably 100 times, at least. Shania Twain, I really like Shania Twain, but not for her music. So that's kind of, in my opinion, that's a wart. She's not a wart, but her music being on this list is, okay? Elton John, you got another wart. Metallica, Boston, Alanis Morissette, Pink Floyd, okay? Bruce Springsteen. So this is the pinnacle. And look at the album sales, 33 million for Michael Jackson. Elton John's greatest hits. I mean, Elton John was just monumentally successful in the early 70s. Everybody, you know, he was hot. But then there's this Boston, okay? Boston, Boston. It kind of matches here. A lot of you here probably know the album who are listening. But this album, Boston, Boston, was their debut album. Okay, well, so big deal, right? But look at the sales. 17 million on a debut album. At the time, it was the fastest selling debut album ever at that point in the history. I don't know who eclipsed the pace. Maybe it was Pearl Jam, but this probably was Pearl Jam or one of the grunge people. But it's this album right here. The interesting thing about this album is that it came out of a home studio. It was recorded in a home studio, a basement studio. And this is back in the early 70s. This album was released in September of 1976. And by November, it had gone gold. Actually, platinum by November. In 2 months, it went gold. And the guy took a leave of absence from work. The guy's name is Tom Scholz, MIT graduate from Boston, actually Watertown, Mass. Graduated MIT, degree in mechanical engineering, went to work for Polaroid in the new products division. Tried to break into the rock scene. The Boston rock and roll was, involved in it at night. Tried to get a band going called Mother's Milk. Financially, it wasn't possible for all the band members, so he kind of regrouped and tried to record another demo. I mean, he had demos that got rejected and kept at it. Took a down payment that he had saved up. He had money saved up for a down payment for a house, took it, bought a 8-track Scully tape machine and recorded it even better demo. And then a friend that he had made had a friend back east that had a gentleman's agreement to pass on promising new sounds to another one of his buddy, and kind of a vice versa. I don't have the names in front of me, but so yeah, he got signed by CBS, Epic label, and they wanted to fly the band out. Okay, yeah, come out. We'll record you. You're signed. And Tom Scholz didn't want to do that because he didn't want it to become. He didn't want Boston, which was Mother's Milk at the time. They changed the name to Boston before the release. He didn't want his work to become some project of some other West Coast producer and lose all the input and just have it go off the rails. So he hired some guy to run interference with the label executives, to tell them, yeah, everything's going great, we're doing good, we're recording this and it's coming along. And then they recorded one song at the when the process was almost all done. They did some mixing of the other tracks, but they recorded one song, Let Me Take You Home Tonight. It's on the album, as a decoy, just for show. Here we go. Yeah, we're okay. Now we're done. And but basically, it was all recorded in some tiny little basement home studio with a Hammond organ shoved in the corner when he was playing the drums. And then he moved the drums out of the way to pull the Hammond organ out, play the Hammond organ. He played lead guitar, rhythm guitar, acoustic guitar, bass, drums. And then, of course, he brought in Brad Delp for lead vocals. I think that's the name. Something's bugging me about that. One of the greatest vocalists of all time. And he said, well, Brad, if you can't afford to stay in the band and play in the band, can you at least come down and I'll pay you to, do the vocals. So the rest is history. This was released. It was one of the most amazing albums that I had ever listened to. I've probably listened to it 500 times. I would just sit and listen to this album and look out the window and just daydream and just take the music in, listening to those soaring guitar solos, the way that he would set up the next section, set the listener up for the next section of the song, and the harmonies. And it says on the back of the album, this big old long paragraphs, it just says listen to the music. And so I would certainly recommend reading about it here on Wikipedia. This is all just on the album, not the band. Tells you the history of the making of this album. It's monumental, and you can listen to all their stuff on YouTube, or obviously if you got Spotify, check it out. A lot of you probably already have, but 20 million worldwide sales to date, and here we are in 2017. 20 million sales worldwide out of a basement home studio. So on that note, I'm going to get back to work. Thanks for watching.